Good morning, my dear students, and I welcome you back to the English online classes. Sorry for the gap. Due to some unavoidable reasons, I could not take the classes. And let's continue with this chapter, which I was taking in the last few classes of yours. And in this, the third level by Jack Finney, we people have seen about Charlie. Charlie is a 31-year-old man, as per the story, and he is narrating his experience of going through or encountering into a totally different place, which people find it hard to believe about its existence, and that is the third level of the Grand Central Station. Grand Central Station, here I mean to say the subway, the trains which run underground. So basically, everybody will believe that there can be only two levels because they have seen only two levels in that station. But Charlie is that one person who happens to see the third level as well. When Charlie spoke about this matter to his psychiatrist friend and the other known friends of his. They all believed that maybe he is under stress, and because of that, to escape from that stressful moments, he had created a story or an illusion or an imagination of his own, and that is the third level. And that is very difficult for Charlie to believe because he himself had gone through it. So Charlie don't want to accept these kinds of claims which the others are making, and he believes that he's not mad, because he is having one hobby of stamp collection which his grandfather also had, and his grandfather was quite hale, healthy, happy in his time. He also says that even President Roosevelt also had the habit of collecting stamp, and if anyone is having such kind of a habit or anything of that sort happens, that don't make a person insane or mad, and it is just that he happens to see it. And then he narrated that incident when he happens to see or enter into the third level, and it was one summer night, late night he worked, and he was in hurry burry to go back home. So he decided not to catch the bus, instead to go through the subway, means through the underground train. Then he goes to that subway, and then he goes down the stairs, and he reaches to the first level, and he was not supposed to catch the train from there, so he decided to go to the second level. And when he was going to the second level, he says that just he was just walking down, and then suddenly he got lost. He entered through some new doorways. He said that earlier also it had happened with him, that twice it has been as per been mentioned by him in the lesson. That is, once he opened up, means once he came out, while walking through that third level, which was not visible to anybody else. He came out in a hotel named as Roosevelt Hotel. At the second time, he came out somewhere in a building that was 46th Street, and somewhat three buildings or three blocks away from the station. This is how he said. But now he's trying to tell us something very different, and that is exactly getting into the third level. He believes that the Grand Central Station is like a big tree which is spreading out its branches underground. And then he also speaks about how he entered into the third level and what all experience he had. Now he says that when he started walking, the pathway seems to be like inclined to downward and turning too much to the left side, and then he could hear people talking, like, and the people, how it is like from in an empty room when too many people, many means few people are standing there and talking, and then the echo is created, na? Like how you can feel it from a distance, that way he too was feeling it. Then he turned the tunnel through which he was walking, he turned left, and then he entered, means after getting down the stairs, he entered into the level. Now, which level? Third level of the Grand Central Station. First, he thought that he is in the second level, but then when he looked around, everything seemed to be changed. Like he saw the room was smaller, then only a few ticket counters were there, then train gates were also very less in number in comparison to the present time where he was really living. means in the second level and the first level where he used to catch the train. Then also he saw that the inquiry booth also was made of old fashioned wood and all. And there was a man sitting down in that place. He was having green eye shades and long black sleeve he was wearing on for protecting, and the lights were also very dim and flickering. He was thinking that why it is dim and flickering. Then when he looked, it was open gas flame gas lights they were, so they were flickering. Now further he saw that there were brass spittoons. Spittoons means where people can spit, peekdan which we people say na, in general, but here you can say that where the people spit, they don't spit on the floor and all. And then across the station, where he was sitting down, from other side of the station, suddenly a light means caught his eyes. And then when he looked, he saw that a man, from his vest, means from his waistcoat, he was taking out a gold watch, means the pocket watch. And then he looked into the watch. He saw the time, and maybe he frowned over the time. He was having a 4-button suit he was wearing on, and in those days they were not the type of collars how you people put on in the present era. And then he was having handlebar mustache. Handlebar mustache means the mustaches which are turned from the corner upwards. And then he looked around, and everyone seemed to be like dressed up of 1890s or something. And then he saw a lady coming in, and that lady, she too wore on a dress which was sticking to her, tight sleeved shirt, and then long the skirt, and she was wearing buttoned shoes. And then he just behind her, he saw the track, means the railway track, on which a locomotive was standing. Locomotive, you know, all of you know what is locomotive. And then he saw it was a very old fashioned locomotive in which the front part was funnel shaped, like how the steam engines and all, yeah, that kind one, a funnel shaped. And then he understood that okay, I am in the third level, and not only in the third level, I am in a different era. I am somewhere in 1890s most probably. And then he decided to just have a check. And what is the best way to check? Yes, to check the newspaper. So he went near a newsboy who was sitting down with a pile of paper in front of him. He went there. The paper's name was The World, like how we are having the Times of India, the Hindus, Chronicle, etc. Like that only, The World. And then he immediately remembered that long time back this newspaper stopped publishing. Means this newspaper is not published from long time. So there it was front of his eyes. And then the front page story which was there, it was about President Cleveland, and he was not the president of the present time. It was a long time back story, and this story he had read in the public library. And then he looked at the newspaper, and the time and the date was 11th June 1894. He was somewhere in the 1890s in the third level. Just like time machine, exactly like that. We people have heard a lot of stories about time machines, in which people can sit down, and then they can turn, they can have a reverse gear, they can go back, they can go to the front, means they can exchange, or they can just shift into, or they can just you can say that they can just transport themselves to a different year, or can be ahead or can be back. Then he turned towards the ticket window. Why? Because he decided that first of all he knew that tickets will be very cheap, because in that time it was very cheap, living was very cheap. And the next thing was that he had a deep desire to go to Galesburg, Illinois with his wife. So he decided that he will purchase two tickets for Illinois. Now about Illinois, he spoke about in this paragraph. He said that it was a wonderful town in 1894. Even in present also it is, but in those days it was totally different. A very beautiful one. The houses were made of wood. huge lawns they used to have, and big trees whose branches will meet each other, creating a shade on the road, and means road in the street. And then the summer used to be longer than the present time, and the men they used to sit down smoking cigars and talking quietly, and the women they used to fan themselves with the palm leaves fan, and fireflies will be there all around. It used to be a very peaceful world. And this is the time period somewhere 20 years before First World War and 40 years before the Second World War. And so he decided that, yeah, I want 2 tickets. This is what we have done previously, and let's now conclude the chapter. The clerk figured the fare. He glanced at my fancy hat band. But he figured the fare, and I had enough for 2 coach tickets, one way. But when I counted out the money and looked up, the clerk was staring at me. He nodded at the bills. "That ain't money, mister," he said. "And if you're trying to skin me, you won't get very far." And he glanced at the cash drawer beside me. Of course, the money was old-style bills, half big, again as big as the money we use nowadays, and different looking. I turned away and got out fast. There's nothing nice about jail, even in 1894. Okay, now, our narrator, means our Charlie, he decided to get 2 tickets for Illinois, one for himself and one for his wife. So he reached near the ticket counter, and he asked the clerk, who was looking at his fancy dress, a fancy hat band. Fancy in the sense that in 1894 he was dressed of his present time. So obviously for them it's like a fancy dress type. So he looked at him, and then the clerk told him the fare. Fare means the rate for going to Illinois. And he checked out his pocket, and he found that he is having enough money. Enough money means that this only that much of money with which he can buy ticket for one way, means one side he can go. So he took out the money and he gave to the clerk. Clerk, after seeing the money, he stared at him, and he shook his head in a no, and he said that, "This isn't money. This isn't money, mister. Ye paisa nahi hai," he said. "And if you are trying to skin me," here skin me means cheat me. "If you are trying to cheat me, you will not go away very far." When he said this, our Charlie, he glanced at the cash drawer, means where the man is collecting the money and putting in that drawer he looked into. And what he saw, definitely in 1894, the present money is not working. So all big size bills, means money was lying down over there. And he understood that this money will not be able to be used for purchasing the ticket. And then he decided that, come on, let me move from here, because if he stand there for long, maybe he will be charged for something like cheating, and he will be put in the jail. And whether it is 1894 or his time, jail will be definitely not a good place to go. And that was that. I left the same way I came, I suppose. Next day, during lunch hour, I drew $300 out of the bank, nearly all we had, and bought old-style currency that really worried my psychiatrist friend. You can buy old money at almost any coin dealers, but you have to pay a premium. My $300 bought less than $200 in old-style bills, but I didn't care. Eggs were 13 cents a dozen in 1894. Down. After he had seen the third level, he had somewhere inside he had decided very firmly that I have to go to Illinois, I have to go to Galesburg. And then he came back, most probably through the same way from where he got inside that third level. That is most probably. He don't even know how he came out exactly. But the next day he went to the bank and he withdrew some money, somewhat $300. Actually $300 was the entire savings of theirs. And then he bought old style currency. Now you might be thinking that what is this old style currency? Actually there are many places, many shops where if you go and give the present money, you will get some money or the notes of the olden time, means of the old time. And here also he did the same thing, but for that $300 of his time, he did not get much. He got only some less than 200 uh, in the old style bills. Okay, 200 of the present in the old style money. And his psychiatrist friend, he said that, please don't do all this kind of idiotic or stupid things. Don't do this. You might be knowing about this coin dealers, these people who deal with the exchange of currencies. They will cut some premium, like how we, when we take loan from the bank, we have to give interest, no, interest for that. In the same way here also, when they give you the old currency money, like say for example, you go for exchanging a 100 rupee note for the olden times 10 rupee note, means 10 notes you must have got for the 100 rupee, but they might deduct a 9 rupee or maybe a 10 rupee or maybe a 5 rupee as a premium. So instead of 100 full, you will get little less money of the old currency or the other currency. This is what the premium means over here. So he got not exactly 300 in return of the $300, but less than 200. But then he did not worry, because in 1894 the life was very cheap. Even a dozen egg also could be purchased for 13 cents, means pice. So he was not worried at all about it. But I have never again found the corridor that leads to the third level at Grand Central Station, although I have tried often enough. Louisa was pretty worried when I told her all this and did not want me to look for the third level anymore, and after a while I stopped. I went back to my stamps, but now we are both looking every weekend, because now we have proof that the third level is still there. My friend Sam Weiner disappeared. Nobody knew where, but I sort of suspected, because Sam's a city boy and I used to tell him about Galesburg. I went to school there and he always said he liked the sound of the place, and that's where he is, all right, in 1894. Okay, when our Charlie, he changed the money, and after that he tried going to that third level again. And but after that particular incident, he never got a chance to get into the third level again with that money of the old style in his pocket to purchase 2 tickets of Galesburg, Illinois. He told everything to his wife, Louisa, and she was little worried, and she said to him, please, you don't go on looking out for the third level and all. And Charlie again went back to his old stamp collection habit. But both husband and wife, every weekend they used to try to get into that third level. Meanwhile, one of his friends, Sam, he disappeared. Nobody knew that where this man gone, where he had suddenly disappeared. But Charlie, from very deep inside, he was very sure, and he knew it very well, where that Sam, his friend, is. He is in 1894. Because many a times he had told Sam about this Galesburg, then about the third level, and Sam said that everything seems to sound, means everything seems to appear so beautiful, so peaceful, so perfect. So Sam wished that he could go to Galesburg and live there. So Charlie was very sure that if he had disappeared, definitely he is in 1894 in Galesburg. Because one night, fussing with my stamp collection, I found, well, do you know what a first day cover is? When a new stamp is issued, stamp collectors buy some and use them to mail envelopes to themselves on the very first day of sale, and the postmark proves the date. The envelope is called a first day cover. They are never opened. You just put blank paper in the envelope. If I hope that you remember about the first day cover, I told you people in the very first video itself. Actually, what was the reason why with surety our Charlie, he was saying that Sam is there in the 1894? The reason you will come to know now. One day, Charlie, he was just fussing means just randomly he was just looking at his stamp collection, like nothing to do. And then suddenly he found first day cover. Now first day cover, he explained, I have also told you, or once again let me tell you what is a first day cover. The stamp collectors, what they do, those who love doing stamp collection, what they do is that they collect the new, whenever a new stamp is published or a new stamp is been inaugurated or is come into the market, at that time they purchase that new stamp. Then they will paste it up on an envelope which in which they will write down the address of their own, and inside the envelope nothing will be there, and a blank paper they will put, and they will go and post that envelope. They will seal and they will post that envelope, and that envelope, obviously when it come out in the post office, a stamp will be put on the means a mark, a postmark will be there on the stamp, which will prove that that stamp is a used one. And then because the address is of that stamp collector itself, it will go back to that stamp collector. He will take out that stamp and he will paste in his book as a collection. That is called as first day cover. But inside always blank paper is there in that envelope. That night, among my oldest first day covers, I found one that shouldn't have been there. But there it was. It was there because someone had mailed it to my grandfather at his home in Galesburg. That's what the address on the envelope said. And it had been there since July 18, 1894. The postmark showed that. Yet I didn't remember it at all. The stamp was a 6-cent, dull brown, with a picture of President Garfield. Naturally, when the envelope came to Grandpa in the mail, it went right into his collection and stayed there, till I took it out and opened it. The paper inside wasn't blank. Now here, what happened? One day when he was going through his stamp collection, he found one very old, that night, he, with all the old first day covers. First day covers means all the one which is been collected, in which the stamp is been put by the stamp collector himself, and that address is also his own. He saw that there was one first day cover which was not supposed to be there, but it was there. Because why he said that it was not supposed to be there? Because someone has mailed it to his grandfather at his home, in Galesburg. Now in Galesburg, okay, and the address, as this was what the address written on it, and the date was July 18, 1894. You remember when our narrator went to the third level? June 11th, 1894. After 1 month, he found this first cover in his collection. That was, the stamp was of 6 cents something, and the picture of President Garfield was there. Now, when the envelope might had come to his grandfather at that time, definitely it should have been there in the collection. But it was not there earlier, and now it was there till our narrator found it and is going to open it. What I told you, a first day cover is always blank. But when he opened, it was not a blank paper. It was a letter. So let us read the letter. Now the letter. Address, as you can see, it is given 941 Willard Street, Galesburg, Illinois, July 18, 1894. Charlie. Letter is of July 18, 1894, and it is addressed to Charlie. It should have been addressed to Charlie's grandfather, but it was addressed to Charlie. Let's see. I got to wishing that you were right. Then I got to believing you were right. And Charlie, it's true. I found the third level. I have been here 2 weeks, and right now down the street at the Dailies Someone is playing a piano and they are all out on the front porch singing Seeing Nellie Home, and I'm invited over for lemonade. Come on back, Charlie and Loisa. Keep looking till you find the third level. It's worth it. Believe me. The note is signed Sam. Now you understood why he was sure that he is there. Because he got the chance to read the letter which was posted from Galesburg to Charlie in his grandfather's address but received by Charlie over here. Now see, let's not go too deep into it. It becomes very mysterious. That how the envelope went over there, how the envelope came to Charlie. That's what the mystery in this entire episode. We cannot go too deep into it. But what the letter said, that is very important. The letter was addressed to Charlie, and the letter was written by his friend Sam, who disappeared. He said that when you spoke about the third level, I wished that you were right. Then slowly I believed that you were right. And then I went looking out for it. And I found it. From past 2 weeks I am there. And right now I am down the street at the delis, and someone is playing the piano and all are standing at their porch and singing the song Seeing Nellie Home. And I have been offered a lemonade. And Charlie and Louisa, please come on, come back. Don't stop looking out for the third level. It is there, the third level. And I promise you, it's worth looking out. Believe me. Signed, Sam. So, one more person has put a stamp over the fact that there was a third level. At the stamp and coin store I go to, I found out that Sam bought $800 worth of old style currency. That ought to set him up in a nice little hay, feed and grain business. He always said that's what he really wished he could do, and he certainly can't go back to his old business. Not in Galesburg, Illinois in 1894. His old business? Why? Sam was my psychiatrist. Okay. So, this is a really interesting climax. Now, when he received the letter, he went to that coin store to find out whether Sam ever went there to exchange the present money into old style currency, and he found out that Sam had purchased $800 worth of old style currency. He exchanged, and with that he understood that why he had taken so much of money with him, because Sam was interested in opening up a business of hay, grain and feed, means the animal feed. And then he always used to tell Charlie that he wished to open up a business, and moreover in 1894 he could not think of his present business to flourish. And you know what was his present business? He was the same psychiatrist who told Charlie that the third level is just an escape for you from your worldly tension. And right now, that psychiatrist friend is there in Galesburg in 1894 and wrote a letter to him on July 1894, asking Charlie to come to search the third level and come back to 1894 Galesburg and enjoy the life over there. So this is how the story of the third level comes to an end. Let's just go through the questions which are there in this chapter. They are not much of it, and basically there is just one question, and the reading insight is there, and that is what you people have to do. As you can see, there is one question over here, that would Charlie ever go back to ticket counter on the third level to buy tickets to Galesburg for himself and his wife? Basically, here when these two questions are there, First question, let's discuss this last one, that is this question itself. In this, when we people see that when we people have seen that when Charlie was very sure that there do exist the third level, what he has done, he had found out the fare, and he had, after he could not purchase at that moment, coming to the present, he exchanged it for the old currency, and equipped with that, he always used to keep on going during the weekends with his wife to search out or to find out that third level. And most probably whenever they will find it out, they might purchase the ticket to go to Galesburg. Now there is one more question I feel so, and that question is this: what does the third level refer to? What does the third level refers to? It refers to the third level, the station in the Grand Central Station. It refers the third level. It refers to the level at the station. Okay, Grand Central Station. And which level? Third level. And basically there the first level and the second level are the one which leave for first level, which leaves for different places, like as it has been mentioned over here, that the first level, it will take you, that they are having the trains which will be like the 20th century. Okay, and then the second level is there, which will take to the places like where our Charlie is staying. And third level is something which, according to the, you can say that the officers or the authorities of the Grand Central Station are not ready to believe that there could be a third level, not even Sam, Charlie's psychiatrist friend. So basically, when does the third level refer to? It refers to the level of the station of Grand Central Station. And then let's come to the insights. In that, the questions are like this. Basically, first one: do you think that the third level was a medium of escape for Charlie? Why? Here you will have to talk about, first of all, you tell that whether it was really a way to escape, a way of escape for Charlie. No, it was not a way of escape for Charlie, but still, we all know that in today's world, we all are so busy. Our life is full of frustrations, tensions, and because of that reason, we always look out for a peaceful place. We always look out for a peace of mind, and maybe according to the psychiatrist and other friends, how it has been said that Charlie also wanted to escape out of this tension filled world. So he created his own dream world in which there was a third level where he used to feel like entering and exiting every now and then. What do you infer from Sam's letter to Charlie? Means infer means understand. Sam's letter creates more confusions within us, right? More mysteries it creates. We can think that it is a kind of you can say that an extension of Charlie's sayings, of Charlie's saying of existence of the third level in the Grand Central Station. So you just have to elaborate and tell over there that how Charlie was so confirmed that Sam was there in the third level and what made him believe that. And you have to speak about that how he happens to suddenly, miraculously, or he happens to find that first day cover and then Sam's letter inside that, and which tells him very clearly that Sam was there in Galesburg, Illinois. The modern world is full of insecurity, fear, war, worry, and stress. What are the ways in which we attempt to overcome them? Yeah, definitely. In today's world, there is a lot of things which makes us feel very insecure. There is a lot of insecurities. We agree to that, and still, there are many things in which way we can combat, or we can escape, or we can just find out a way out of this. For this, the first thing is that we have to learn to adjust, or we will have to learn to accept the battles and the challenges, and we have to keep on moving ahead like a strong person. And there can be ways in which we can have our own dreamland, and then we can escape out of this reality, giving us a few moments of peace. Do you see an intersection of time and space in the story? Yeah, definitely. If you remember, I spoke to you about the time machine. Yes, that is traveling through time. Traveling through time means you can just teleport yourself. This is the word that has been used. You can just teleport yourself from one time to the another time, from one era to another era. And with regard to the context of the story, somewhere we'll have to believe that the third level of the Grand Central Station was acting like a time machine, which was taking the people, or which was teleporting the people from one place to another. So you can give an elaborate description of your own ideas. Apparent illogicality sometimes turns out to be a futuristic projection. Discuss. When our Charlie spoke about the third level, what everyone said, it's totally illogical. It's totally something which is only out of imagination. It's only a illusion of his own. It cannot happen. It can never happen. That's what the people, they believed in it. But what actually happened? What actually happened is what? See, remember that many of the people who had dreamt of see what I mean to say is that illusions are something or somewhat connected to the real dreams of people, or can turn into reality in future. Like, say for example, uh, you might be having a deep desire inside you, and many a times you might have dreamt something related to that desire, and then that is your imagination. But when slowly time passes and you take steps towards that dream and you fulfill it, that is the futuristic projection of your illogical dreams of the past. Next is philately helps keep the past alive. Discuss other ways in which this is done. What do you think of the human tendency to constantly move between the past, the present, and the future? Philately means the collection of stamps that happen, no? And it is told that the stamp helps a person to keep the past alive, means what has happened in the past. So you just have to come up with some more ways in which you can just keep the past alive within yourself, and for that you can have a lot of ways to speak about. The last question we will leave off, because basically there is no um, things to compare over there in this, and within by Tuesday or Wednesday you people will be receiving the questions of the third level. And as you know that your midterm examination is going to start very fast, I hope, considering it as a step towards your board examination, you will be paying a lot of attention to it. Study nicely, not only the objectives but also the subjective part, and I hope that you all will be giving the examination. Don't consider this to be a, you can say, the waste of your time, because it's like studying each and every part of yours which will be there for your board examination, because board examination will be held most probably in its own way that we don't know right now, but you have to be prepared for it. So please, my humble request that you study well, and each one of you must give the examination. So till we meet again, I hope that you all stay safe. I pray that you all stay safe, and goodbye.